Welcome back to the Money Hill, your number one Call of Duty podcast with a betting focus, taking you through all the matches and majors of the 2022 CDL season. My name, of course, is Scoot, and I'm back with Nikita and Chris, here to take you through another splendid week headed into Major 3 in Toronto. Boys, how are we doing today? Do you like my new intro? Little monologuing space. I can walk around now.
I think that was great. I was hoping you would shoot up aggressively with a bit more.
I mean, it was honestly, I thought it out ahead of time, and I thought it was going to work better than it did to really, but the bed that I was on did not give me enough support coming out of it.
I think if you're going to
don't make a fucking joke.
I think if you're yeah, we know how little support your bed provides.
Okay. Well,
what I was going to say is, if you're going to stand and pace the whole time, I think I'm down for it. I do want to know, you're wearing an Oliver's hoodie. Is that representative of anything?
I mean, no. Oliver's is just one of the greatest bars in Peoria, Illinois. Okay. Shout out to Mr. James Kelly for running that show down there. It's a splendid place. And if you need cheese curds, it's the place to go. Cheese curds are incredible. I don't know if Nicky's ever had a cheese curd in his life, but no, I'll be taking a seat for this one. Of course.
No, Nicky, you gotta go to the Midwest.
I have real cheese.
Cheese curds are all the rage.
All right, gentlemen.
I've never had cheese curds. I am not interested in them. I have like real cheese that
when it curdles, it's really good.
I'm not afraid.
Okay, well, we got business to talk about, boys. Let's hop into it a little bit. Little retake action. Let's talk about last week, and then we can hop into the one roster change, as well as heading into week 2 of Major 3 qualifiers, where we have some shiesty bounty matches that we'll be talking about as well, with Nikita's take on why that just should not be a thing at all. So this is going to be a fairly entertaining episode.
Should we do some bounties on this podcast?
Dumb.
I mean, I already have a bounty on you in Ultra not making top 3, so
let's go.
Yeah, but the problem is, I would love that, but you haven't paid up. You're like, you've lost.
He might have.
Like, oh, we'll let it ride. I'm like, no, give me my money.
We talk about guys with great movement all the time, but nobody has better movement than Chris dodging a payout to someone else. So, but I mean, listen, it kicks off with Nicky. Great week last week from you. I just want to shout that out as well. Really hopped on board the LA Thieves -1.5 against London Royal Ravens. That was big.
I think we all agreed with that.
Well, they had a very...
Yeah, but I'm the one that brought it up. I brought up like three minus 1.5s.
Yeah, that is true. What, OpTic Texas against Forida Mutineers, which you tried to bait everyone into taking the other side of just so that you could say it, which definitely got
we never
immediately.
Took it. Yeah,
no, we would never do. I was in support of the OpTic -1.5 there. I think the odds were great. I think the other one was Subliners Breach maybe at the end of the week. Just incredible picks from you, but really weird week from your boys at LA Thieves. I want to hear your thoughts about it because show up 3-0 looking great.
But we all knew this. The Ravens are not like this fucking top tier team right now.
No, and they're playing with this. Well, it's like a sub, but like a permanent situation. Who really knows? It's kind of up in the air. But
this is not the Ravens of the first split.
No, not by no means. They don't have that energy anymore. They're not coming different.
No. The Ravens are dead in water. So whatever. But they still 3-0'd them, which they wouldn't have, which was nice off of the back of reaching finals in the Pro-Am. So it's like it was all heading in the right direction. Then they lose to the Rokkr.
Jesus Christ.
No, it's a religion one. I don't really believe in any of that. That's like what people who never competed say. That's what that is.
Drama?
So I had to explain what ping and how ping affects
I have
to B&B in the last
I've
podcast.
performed and competed quite a lot. This is the difference between someone who's played competitively and someone who hasn't. Because
I'm sorry, but
someone such as yourself
the B&B
believes that a
masturbation
friendly match
marathon
is
not a legitimate event.
It's getting hot in here right now.
The B&B masturbation marathon is not a legitimate competition that has.
I finished first every time.
International Olympic Committee, despite your many.
Can we get back to them dropping 0-3 to Rokkr? That's the second match that we haven't even gotten to yet.
in a way, unfortunately, I think the Thieves are just exactly par for the course. I think Pro-Am just was a distraction. I think they beat teams below them, and they'll lose to teams above them. So I think they're gonna finish in that kind of 6th place range, and I'm writing them off for the rest of the season. I think Havoc and ROKKR is actually much more interesting because when he initially joined, they didn't look great. But they've now beaten Guerrillas and Thieves. Not top tier teams, especially Guerrillas, who are dog shit. But I will say they are the teams that you need to beat to say that you're in that top 6.
This was a situation where I said, like last week, coming off of that loss, LEG had a pretty abysmal tournament. Minnesota Rokkr also had a pretty bad one, but I did say like they need time to adjust, I think, in Pro League matches. And Havoc seems to fit the mold really well with the way they're playing. And I start off 2-0 with the 6-0 map count is a pretty strong statement. Honestly, more of a statement about Rokkr than Thieves, I think, coming off the back of that. Like I don't know how worried I am about Thieves currently. We'll see really what happens there. I think they need a lot of time to make this like new comp come together before champs. So I'm up in the air about them. I don't really understand it.
I just don't think. I think
you sound uninspired.
We're just running into the same old. I don't think it's. I am uninspired because we said that last week at the end of last week's episode. We said who are we paying attention to, and I was like, you know what, Subliners and Thieves both need to show this isn't a fluke. I think Subliners have shown that. I think they are now competing for a top 4 spot. I think the Thieves are just going to continue to compete in that 5-6 range. And they haven't shown me anything that's made me go, oh, okay, I need to really pay attention to this. But I can see ROKKR pushing in now into the top 6. But this week I think is a big week for ROKKR because they're now facing off against an Ultra that is trying to reclaim a top 6 position. And they're going to be playing against Mutineers, who as
I am not. Say, this is so made up.
Mutineers, and that they're like in the top 3.
I don't understand where this was Chris's statement from the Pro-Am Classic that they were the best team on one side of the bracket, and I do not support that, and I never have. No, it was the most Florida tournament of all time. Like it just made sense what happened. The other you can't avoid talking about the biggest name in the CDL, of course, OpTic Texas. Playing with, this is also really messed up because last week we come on here, you're like, Chris is like, oh, is General going to play again next week? I'm like, no, I think Illey's going to play. Like, he posted this GIF online, all this stuff. And then they're like, you know what? Fuck Bo3 Network. Fuck the Money Hill. We're going to pick up Prolute because Illey's not ready yet. And
why would they not pick up General?
Yeah.
Well, because Prolute fits the role. Prolute fits the role that Illey plays a lot better. If it was Dashy that was out, it would make sense to put General in because he's also a main AR. But what they said at the Pro-Am Classic is that essentially both submachine gun players are just getting baited because you have 2 guys that are holding super long angles, and that's how they know how to play their role. But like nobody up close to take that like secondary trade gunfight or like play the dirty scrap time a little bit, which is kind of what Illey does across the board. Coming into this week, I heard a lot of chatter about Prolute is literally just Illey's little brother, essentially, or like the exact duplicate of him. And I took it with a grain of salt. You know, everyone's going to talk up an amateur coming into the scene. He actually is. Like, it's literally so crazy. I mean,
he's nailing it. You get called up to the big leagues.
Oh, yeah. And he delivered in a big way, especially second series, a massive 1v3 ace, I believe, or I think it was against Guerrillas, actually. He killed ASIM last. But, like, I mean, it was an incredible search and destroy. I think he started off 10-1. The guy was just on point. Their S&D honestly looks crazy with him in the roster, and it has. Yeah. So maybe consider the 5-man, which I will also suggest to LAG. But, yeah, they go double 3-0. Of course, they should win those series in that fashion, especially in declining LAG and Florida Mutineers. But speaking of decline, LAG has made their roster change, and I would love to hear some thoughts about it because now they're trying to re-honeymoon phase back in gunless and taking out Spart. So what are our thoughts there? It's another flex swap for the boys in purple.
I think you and I agreed when he first got brought in for gunless that they should bring Gunless back because they reached the major with him. That his performance, he did well. While Spot did do well, I think they would have done as well with Gunless. So I did think that I thought Gunless was like out. I didn't realize he was still ill. I semi-suspect this is a bit of PR speak that they did say to him, like, hey, we're putting you back. And then once things started going south, they were like, oh, you're recovered. We always wanted you on the team. So I'm a bit worried about chemistry. It's not a great look that you do all the hard work. You get there, something bad happens, and then the team's like, oh, well, whatever. And now they need you again. They come back. Could mess up the chemistry, but...
they qualified for that major, as you said, but I think the highlight for me here is that a lot of the reasons why they dropped down in the lower bracket in the first place and had that crazy run seem to be getting highlighted in their matches now, and like they're getting exposed a lot of the time. Like that sub with Smart, and they lose their first match 3-0, drop straight down in the losers bracket. It feels like that's just happening over and over again, and like what happened in the losers bracket is not a consistent path to victory for LEG, so we'll see if this helps them out. But I think it's interesting to talk about. Chris, would love to hear your thoughts on any team that you think is worth talking about this week, because of course your boys in green got kind of walloped by the Subliners. So
for me, it's all about Minnesota Rokkr this week, and I think we just haven't spent enough time on them. Having Havoc in there, I think the player Attach is just. You always say he gets a piece of he always gets a piece of the pie before we're done with the season.
I was gonna say that,
yeah. And so to me, just like LAG is already through the moon that they won a major. So to me, like that group, whether they keep it, whether they sub them back gunless in or not, I think that they're. If I'm them, I stay with the team I currently have, because I think you have a better time trying to get Spart up to speed. And like the teams, they performed already. They kind of have some level of chemistry. I think to your point, the rest of the teams are going to be able to scout them now and kind of learn a bit. But like for me, winning one major for them is a successful season. For a team like Minnesota, I think that they came on in the middle of the year to late part of the year last year, and this is par for the course for those guys. And I think. Having Havoc in there now, for them to go 3-0 against Thieves, I think is no fluke. I think that that's a real win. Beating LAG 3-0. I mean, they went 6-0 this weekend, right? And not against like the worst competition. And so for me, that's a huge weekend, and I think that it sets them up well. And so I'm excited to see what the Rokkr do this and the rest of this major. This feels like the major they could win.
It's either this one or the next one. I think they have a little heartbreak in the lower bracket here, and then regain and have like a weird next stage, and then win Major 4 and fall off for champs. That's my prediction. But we'll see. I mean, Attach does always get his slice of the pie. You can go back and research that, but he has one chip pretty much every year. It's astounding.
I mean, the way he played against LA Thieves this past weekend was just out of this world.
So the map where he dropped like 40?
Yeah.
In a control?
Yes. Literally for the entire series, he was plus 24. The next best player on their team was plus 3, and it was Standy. Like the amount of damage this guy was doing, he did so much more damage than any other player. And I'm sure it's set up that way, but like his KD was a 1.41 across all maps.
It's not usually set up that way, because what you'll see is that Dashy has a very high KD ratio, but he's not doing most of the damage for OpTic Texas. Like he's cleaning up a lot of kills on the backside, but he's not the predominant damage doer for that team, or at least for most series. I mean, there are the occasional like 10K crazy flying series. I do want to like touch on Subliners. I mean, they lost to FaZe to start off the week. Kind of par for the course on that one as well. Like you expect them to come off this not major victory, as Chris would say, and then
a friendly victory. Congratulations.
They play what could be the best team in the CDL right now. You could argue that it might be Texas. Faults are there. It's their first like real super competitive game against the top team, and then they just come back and pretty much dismantle Breach 3-1. So not exactly a 3-0, but they looked dominant in that series. And my takeaway is that Breach is stale at this point.
Yeah, Breach I'm not.
I think they're gonna. end, like they're for me the actual hallmark of a 5-6 team. And right now they're in 4th. I don't think that holds, to be honest. And on it, like
I honestly disagree.
Okay.
Like, I think that 4th is like exactly where they are, and I think that you can get a team like, again, and this has been my point on these guys the entire time. You look at their stats across the series with the Subliners, and their plus minus is -2, -2, +1, -3. Like, no one's getting ripped. Now maybe in each game one person kind of performs or the other one doesn't, but like, these guys are fucking good, and the reality is they never really get crushed. For me, it just ends up becoming they are no doubt a middle of the pack team, and I think like 4th to me kind of actually makes sense.
I think 5-6 is where they end up, to be honest.
Okay, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there.
I'm interested to see like who will take Raven's spot as the 3 team, because I don't think they deserve it anymore, and I think we can all agree on that. Like, it's not going to hold. They're not playing well enough. I mean, they went 3-2 against Paris, and then I think they start off the week 0-3 against Thieves. So like, terrible week from them.
By the way, I woefully was reading the wrong stats. They got absolutely destroyed by the New York Subliners. They went -21, +3, -3, and -11. But neither here nor there.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I'll back you up, even though I don't fully agree with it. I was reading. I think there was a point that I read that said that they are the 4th place team, virtue of the fact that they are still better than the Thieves.
But I mean, Ultra like aren't good. I don't know why we're using them as a hallmark.
As in, no, for sure. But like, when we're looking at the rankings and how we're moving people, we go, you go OpTic Texas, you go FaZe, Subliners, and then you leave that available. I do think like Breach fits in 4th place. I would put Thieves, Ultra. Then ROKKR right behind. I'm not I don't know.
I would put ROKKR,
I guess, higher, but I would be.
I mean, currently, like, New York Subliners are better than pretty much every team you named. Like, honestly, New York for me.
No, they're not better.
New York for me is the 3rd best team in the league at the moment. Like, they are.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. But then after that, as much as I want to say ROKKR 4th. I think they need to continue this. Like, 1 week does not make a 4th place team. So if I'm looking we're looking holistically over the course of the season, Breach still has that 4th place. I wouldn't put Thieves over them.
Absolutely not.
I want to, but I wouldn't put Thieves over them. And Ultra is sitting 6th, 7th. So I could put ROKKR 6th or 7th, but I think it's kind of unfortunate. Like, I'm not putting Boston Breach in 4th place because they're good enough there.
Yeah. Why are Ultra sitting 6th, 7th? What the fuck?
Royal Ravens have dropped. You've got Guerrillas not up there. You've got fucking Paris Legion at the bottom. You've got the Mutineers right in the middle somewhere. You know, can be great or can be awful.
Why are Ultra 6, 7?
Surger at the bottom.
I mean, Ultra are tied for 10th. Or not tied for them. They are 10th.
No, but who would you
honestly,
put
Florida, probably. The current standings have that correct. Subliners as well. I would put Breach above them as well.
All right.
LA Thieves.
No. We're agreeing with all of that. But who? Yeah, but that's my top. You've just listed my top 5. So after those, what you have left is Mutineers, Paris.
So okay, let's start at the top. Atlanta FaZe, definitely. OpTic Texas
Ravens.
As well, of course. LA Thieves, I believe, are better than them currently.
Yes.
Breach as well, so we're at 4.
Yes.
Minnesota ROKKR.
Yep. Yes.
I can't do that yet. I agree with you a little bit. I think it's a small sample size to work with. Definitely Subliners. There's your 5th. I would say Florida as well. I think LAG, when you add back in Gunless, that's a better team.
No.
Dude,
listen.
You guys are forgetting like how
haven't seen it yet.
You're forgetting that
Toronto
the team won the major without Gunless.
I'm not saying
and they were an ass team before.
Yeah, and
but the only reason that I think they win that major with Gunless, regardless. Like,
you can't prove a counterfactual.
You can't. I'm not saying you can prove a counterfactual. I'm just saying my thoughts.
You're saying like I'm not against the LAG. I need to see it.
I mean, but on what basis is Ultra in this 6-7 spot?
It's been too long.
Yeah, they had a good Pro-Am Classic or like a half decent one.
So no, but what are you putting? I'm saying fine, put them at 7th. You want to put Mutineers above them? I'll agree to that. Paris, LAG,
Seattle,
London,
not better.
Those guys.
Well, Seattle lost to them this week, but like
correct.
also
so
Seattle is so mediocre right now.
Agreed. They're 8th, 7th.
Yeah,
so
sure.
it's by default when we have 12 teams and we remove 4
That's
teams.
what I'm saying. 8th is different than 6th, 7th. Like even 6th is a jump from 7, but like
I put them in 7th. I think I put them in 7th, and I had Mutineers after them. If you
the only reason I'll put Mutineers above them is because I think
I won't fight you on that.
Playing at your ceiling is like very important in Call of Duty, I guess.
Also, you're a huge Mutineers fan because you always have the green Mutineers light on.
No, but I listen. I think playing at your ceiling.
So you have like
playing at your ceiling is very important in Call of Duty, and also Ultra almost lost this series, by the way, to Surge. Like they were 4 points away.
Let's just be clear.
And you love going
the semifinals. Semifinals of
you like
the Pro-Am,
don't you?
Ultra made the semifinals of the Pro-Am. The most impressive tournament in the whole
You guys
world.
Listen, I mean, who are you mocking? That's your fucking team, and you need them to play top 3 at champs, or we're not having this conversation.
I know. I'm like, I don't know why you
I've already conceded the fact.
You're wearing your purple LAG.
I'll let you buy yourself out for half, I guess. I mean,
how much did we bet? Like
50?
$5? We did not bet
50 on it. Yes, we did at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, you did 50. It was 50. But
I mean, okay, listen,
25 now, I might take that.
We flushed out all these ideas. Congrats, Toronto Ultra. You beat Surge, your #1 team in the league now or whatever. Like all these dumb ideas that we've got floating around.
We're not saying the Ultra
I'm kidding, Chris. Just behave a little bit.
But Ultra did beat the Mutineers 3-1 in the round 1 of the dumb fucking Pro-Am tournament.
But I mean, the expectation is that Mutineers lose that game. Like, let's be very clear.
Correct.
They come off, they're 3-0. You know exactly what the fuck's gonna happen. Like they're gonna throw. Final thoughts. Paris Legion map 1 continues to just be a beautiful bet, unless they're playing Bocage against a good Bocage team.
Can we talk about these bounty bets?
Well, that's what I was gonna jump into. So
these what bets?
Let's hop into the matches this week. Of course, just to touch on a little bit of news. I think we mentioned it earlier, but Gunless is back in the starting roster for LAG for Spart. We've already kind of flushed out that idea, so there's no real reason to dive deeper into it. We have Week 2 qualifiers coming up. I mean, I think it'll work fine. Week 2 qualifiers coming up, but there's an interesting twist this week, which Nikki is not fond of at all. I can't say that I am fond of either. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm in.
It's bounty week, baby. That means no. Listen. That means let me explain it before you go off a little bit. That means that there are. I think in a assortment of 6 $10,000 matches this week, where there's $10,000 on the line for the winner, which means that each player gets about 2.5 grand. He's so upset. All right, Nikki, let's talk about it.
So this is so fucking stupid because yes, one, the players are getting 2.5 grand if the org doesn't take anything. If I'm Paris Legion and I'm like, ooh, I can get 2.5 grand as the org, I'd be like, you shut the fuck up, you numpties. You've delivered nothing. We are taking everything just to recoup some of the costs that we fucking dumpstered into this. 10 grand, whilst wonderful, I would love an extra 10 grand in my pocket or 2.5 grand. B&B would love $50 to pay off some of his debts. But
by the way, if you're a sponsor and you want to give us
point of view, but
2.5 grand,
you are motivated by
like fucking happily.
Oh yeah,
I'll try anything for 2.5 grand.
But if you are motivated to win because of a 10 grand bounty, just get the fuck out of this league. It's a point. It's so stupid because you said, oh, well, if you're a team that isn't winning any money, this is what's going to motivate you. No, what should be motivating you is the chance to make 100 grand at champs and or at a major or something like that. So there's nothing here. It's not even something like, hey, whoever gets the most kills gets a bounty, because that might fuck up the competitive integrity. I understand that. but at least give something along the lines of like rewarding players across the season, a bonus for the MVP, finals MVP, rookie of the year, something like that. I think is a way more interesting way to generate content and engagement. But just throwing 10 grand, like, oh, you won this match this week. As if the teams, like, as if OpTic Texas or FaZe are gonna be like, oh no, we this week we were gonna fuck around and lose the match, but now that there's 10 grand, fucking do, we're gonna try and get the best place we can for this major.
Let me read you.
So fucking.
That was a good TikTok monologue, by the way.
What the marketing folks have to say. With additional prize money on the line for these matchups, the winners not only have the potential to move up the standings past their rivals, but they'll also go home with a little bit of cash.
How much do you think it's How much do you think it's taxed? What do you think they're actually going home?
But also, on top of that, can I just remind, like, if you gave me 60 grand,
6 games, 60 grand.
How much is it total? Yeah, so 60 grand. It is 60 grand. You give me 60 grand. Do you know how much great fucking content I can make as the CDL? You give me a camera and video crew, fucking take them out paintballing. Take a couple of the pros out paintballing. Have them eat. Have them do a truth or dare where they have to eat a habanero or something. Some sort of like. There's some real content.
You're going to get the teams to participate, or any of the influencers to participate for less than like they can't actually do that. With
are you? No. You got to be joking. They 100%.
No, they actually. I've seen the contracts. They're contractually obligated to support the CDL.
They would. I mean, especially with some of the CEOs that head up teams, like there's a clear like affinity for making content among some teams, and like Hex especially would definitely push the OpTic Texas players to get involved.
You could do some really good stuff here. You know what? Go out and create something. Go out and get amateur players to come up and like just random stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff that you could come up with that's actually creative and engaging. What's also real life Call of Duty, you know what? Have them jump out of a plane. Like jump out of a plane and follow that, like, you know, truth or dares, like bungee jumping, like do a whole season long truth or dare. Whoever loses the match on the stage or something gets to tell another team to do something. That's like, that stuff could be fun. But even more infuriating, what is the headline match of this week?
Texas for 10 grand.
I mean, neither of those teams give a fuck about anything else. Money. Like they've made enough.
That's not true.
Are you fucking kidding me? Every player on OpTic Texas can log on and stream for that.
Guess what? Everyone makes more money.
No, I think Texas and FaZe don't have a rivalry, and they need this little bit of extra motivation to try and, you know, like want to win the league. It's fucking dumb.
Right. I mean, there are some interesting matches. I think the one that stands out to me, considering our prior conversation, but Rokkr Ultra.
10 grand might not matter to FaZe and OpTic.
Yeah,
10 grand does matter to me. We got 1.91 versus 1.83. Which team's gonna win this 10 grand? Because I need some money in my pocket.
I mean, let's talk about the fact that FaZe have not beaten OpTic all year.
Let's talk about it. And yet they're still somehow a favorite.
It's almost that OpTic is just their kryptonite. Like there's no real way around this. It's almost
think kryptonite was green. It's a fact.
That is also true, just like the background, which is obviously in support of OpTic Texas, my favorite team, and not the Florida Mutineers. I have a turquoise color that I could clearly use on this fucking remote if I wanted it to be that color. Okay.
Show us.
No, I'm not gonna do that. I can't do it. It's not connected through the pillows. It's gonna it would fuck it up. Listen. I'm all talk.
What color do you turn it at other times?
I've had enough. I gotta go. No. Okay. So seriously, sitting down and looking back at this, it's almost very similar to how OpTic played Ultra last year. Like they could not beat them, especially when it mattered. But like this is just a group stage match, and OpTic did best Ultra once, I think, in a group. Maybe FaZe comes out on top, but I'm pretty sure this is another Texas dub right here. Especially with Prolute. Honestly, the new energy is just gonna throw it through the roof, and it'll just fuck with Atlanta FaZe more. Especially they lost them on land with General. Like
so, all
right. Well, $5 grand nets you.
I do really like the Rokkr Ultra matchup. 2.07 versus 1.704 for the Ultra. I think that is a really good bet for the Ultra. I would even go so far as to have a look at the -1.5 for the Rokkr.
I am 100% on board.
I think it's risky. I'm not guaranteeing that, but I think like there is a
you want me to give you something crazy?
No, I am
like really crazy.
I am on board with the -1.5. It's not even like I don't think that's a risk even.
Guys, -2.5 at 7.41.
See, this is where I get iffy because Ultra has the only form of consistency in their gameplay in control, I think, and it's also where Rokkr hasn't been the greatest this year. I think they're a decent search team, but I think their hardpoint has greatly improved with Havoc, and they're about to just expose Ultra again for what they actually are in Respawn. So that's kind of where I sit with this -1.5. I think it's a 3-1 Rokkr, and maybe Ultra taking S&D or control, one of the two. But
I would say my next one, Paris Legion Subliners, -2.5 for the Subliners at 2.3.
Minus what? Nah.
-2.5.
Paris map 1.
2.3.
4.0, baby. Paris map 1.
That was my
Dude,
one.
I've said this over and over again. If they're not playing Bocage map 1, they're so dangerous. They have so much initial momentum, but they can never carry it.
Is our nickname the Bocage Boys?
No, it's not. You just I don't know. It's just a map. I don't know.
You came up with that, and you're
he
so
sat
excited.
down today to record, and this is before even recording League. Just how are my Bocage boys doing today?
Let's go.
It's not our name. That's the name of the show is the money. Like, where are we going?
The money. How are my Money Hill men?
Bocage boys.
I'm not a man.
The money men.
Money men. That's not what I heard.
Okay. All right, let's behave. Legion to beat LAG if you really think they're bad. I want to hear some thoughts on that. 2.4 odds on my end. So you guys seem to think that this sub is not going to work out at all.
Nah. No. There's bad, and then there's Legion, whose own team doesn't even fucking tweet.
Yeah.
That's how from the beginning of the season they put the roster together before the season started, and they were like, "Oh, don't bother with the social media team this year. It's alright."
Any additional? You'd have to fucking pay someone anything. So don't do that. The Guerrillas are fucked.
I was looking at the Subliners Ultra, I think, but I don't have the odds on it. So I would say that you could get the Subliners -1.5 at 1.96. I'm not sold on those.
I do like Subliners
1.96 over Ultra.
Yeah, -1.5.
I mean, they're gonna smoke them.
You think 2.0?
I think Ultra goes 0-2 this weekend and like a pretty bad 0-2. I would say -1.5 both way.
Okay.
All right. Let me tell you what that is.
All right. Well then 1.96 is the. I would have if that was a 2.1, I 100% take it. 1.96 is like on the cusp of me being like, is it worth it? I think it is.
We can take our $2,500 stake.
That's my standout.
For being the Bocage Boys or the Money Hill Minutemen, and put it on -1.5 Rokkr, -1.5 Subliners for 6.63 odds.
Mm-hmm. What happens if you put in the Thieves -1.5 against Surge?
Let's not expand this too much because that is, I love that. Let me just say this outright before we even get into it. Like, I think Ultra gets slapped up this week.
Okay.
Yeah. So 6.6 is fantastic, and that gets us our 10,000. If you include Thieves -1.5 against Surge, which I don't love that bet. Just
content
straight up,
budget for the year.
I do not think that that's a good bet. I think Surge. I don't trust Thieves in that scenario. But if you include it, 14.98, basically 15.0 odds.
I do like that. I'm not sold on Thieves. The thing is, the 3-0 that the Thieves had is what makes me confident that when they're facing off in a sub 7th place team, that they likely 3-0 them. So if it's not the Mutineers or the what's it called? The Rokkr, I think they do 3-0, 3-1. So that's my other one is 2.26 against Surge is decent, but then I think Surge has been bad for quite a while now. I don't think that's changing. But at 15 times odds, for throwing them in.
They're just such a weird team, man. Like, I don't even know what the ceiling is for Surge. Like, I don't even know. We've seen them play well, but it's not like
By the way,
the message on this has always been that they rely on Pred and Sib way too much, and then when they don't perform, it's just like out the window. Like that series is pretty much over. Like there's no chance. By the way, what Chris?
Yeah.
Betting on Call of Duty League is now legal in New Jersey. I might just start traveling. Yeah.
Just driving over the river.
You know, just a little VPN.
To be fair, why didn't you? You're already
you literally just York, you live in Brooklyn, so
take the dip and go there.
How's that? It's not New York.
It's the right side, but
you're essentially in Jersey already.
It does
go to the Jersey.
It does make me more interested in, at least spending a little bit more time.
Is anyone interested in that? No. We love our Jersey boys.
When you squeeze out like two kids, you can get a little Jersey house and mow your Jersey lawn.
Okay, I mean I don't know how we got here, but
I don't know what that is, but is that I've
any final matches we want to discuss a little bit. I mean, LAG could,
I think we've talked about every match.
No,
LAG could dub up Florida a little bit, maybe at the beginning of the week, 2.65 odds. It's a little interesting with their little honeymoon phase going on.
I'm not touching LAG matches this week. Not doing it.
Oh, but your boy Asim.
I side with Asim. He was right against Clayster.
Where's Clayster?
Asim is so good.
Where's Clayster this week?
Clayster and Crimsix are beefing heavy this week.
Where's Clayster this week?
Crimsix. They've been like Clayster going at each other on Twitter, on the flank, like everything.
On Twitter,
it's been ugly. Crimsix is back on it. Crimsix won a little tournament, and he's back on his bullshit, like completely.
Yeah.
I think Subliners put out a tweet that is like a video of him just talking into the camera on like a TV set in the background, and it's like "fuck you" methods, like you're dog shit. And he's just going at it, like it's violation, honestly. After what they did to the breach, I mean, their social media team is hilarious as well.
I love it. I love Crimsix talking shit. It makes me happy to no end.
Listen, I think Subliners are a dangerous team and possibly top 3 going into the end of the season.
Imagine how dangerous they'll be when they play Paris Legion for $10,000.
That, and then I'm also.
That's gonna really motivate them.
It's almost like the matchups were decided like it's not 2 months ago. Like while Subliners were still terrible and they just didn't decide to change it at all. Like
it's too tough. It's too tough.
But it's not about like Subliners trying to make it into champs or anything like that. No, none of that. It's really all about.
I'm also very happy to see Kismet succeeding because I always thought he was undervalued that first season on Legion.
Is this a form of But yeah. By the way, in their the matchups, they have Paris as 12 and New York as 11. Like clearly it's an outdated standings. It's hilarious.
It's so dumb.
Do we think that this is the Call of Duty League, though, accepting kind of betting as part of it, right? Like, do we think there's going to be any integrity issues this week with so much money on the line?
Yeah.
I'm not answering that.
Yeah, I think we're.
I'm not answering that. Also, I don't even know if they can make enough money throwing matches because books probably cap your bets at like such minimums.
Yeah.
That like it's almost impossible. So 50. Good luck to them if that's the case. But also just don't think that'll happen. It's not big enough yet. We'll see what Activision Blizzard does. I mean, an MVP bonus would be like for 60K could change that up a little bit. And I agree with Nikki that money could be allocated far better than it already is, than it is being currently. With that being said, thank you, of course, again for listening to another episode of The Money Hill, tuning in on YouTube if you are here from YouTube or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere. We love our audio listeners as well. However, if you are listening on audio, head over to the YouTube, hit that sub button, hit that like button, and ring that fucking bell. Get our notifications going. Nikki just hit a nasty steez. You can pick that up on the video. On the video, trying to hold it for the end. Check out our sister podcast called The Gold Advantage. We focus on League of Legends there. We're currently at MSI. I just said that twice, in Korea. I think that's all I have to say. Join our Discord. It's in our pin tweet on our Twitter at Bo3 Network. And with that being said, we will see you again next week for another episode of The Money Hill. Peace out.
Toodaloo.